Hello and welcome to episode 7 of Two Dyspraxics. My name is Matthew Munson.
And mine is Barbara Neill.
And today we're going to be talking about the learning of new skills. It's something we've been talking about on Facebook a little bit recently, inspired by a fellow hypnotherapist. Well, I say fellow hypnotherapist, I'm not a hypnotherapist, no. I was thinking about you, Barbara. It's someone you kind of had a bit more contact with, isn't it? Someone who lives up north.
Absolutely. Ian. Hello, Ian. Yes, Ian asked if we could discuss learning musical instruments specifically because he's learning African drumming. I think, now, unless I've got this wrong, I do apologise if I have, Ian, but he was saying that he's heard that learning African drumming is supposed to help with, I'm not sure, I can't remember what it helps with, but
is it like the coordination or something? The coordination or something?
I think it's the coordination and the left-right brain.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's interesting.
So,
well, actually, Ian, if you're watching this, hopefully you are, please do kind of give us some feedback on how that, some of the message bar.
Yeah, don't give us feedback on this bit.
No, not on this bit.
This is right,
but on the African drumming, perhaps you could kind of mention that a little bit underneath. It'd be interesting to know your experiences in that.
Absolutely, yeah. And if it is helping in any way, then we would certainly like to hear that.
But it was kind of that kind of inspired the conversation, didn't it, about kind of, you know, new skills in general, not just musical instruments, but other things perhaps as well. And the example I kind of wanted to give was about sign language. I'm learning British Sign Language at the moment. There's lots of sign languages, and I could talk today about that, but I won't. I'm learning specifically British Sign Language, and the kind of the vocabulary and the learning of the language itself is fine in terms of sort of getting it into my head, although my short-term memory is a problem sometimes. Once it's gone beyond that point, it's kind of just stuck in my head. That's fine. For me, a big part of it is the coordination of it, because obviously it is all visual. It is all hands. It's facial expressions, non-manual features, as they call it, and so it's very visual. It's all visual. And for me, kind of the fine motor skills in trying to kind of coerce my fingers into going where they have to go on my hands. I use my left hand. I'm left-handed, and I go on to the right hand to sign. And especially when I'm having to use both sets of fingers to sign. I'm not all in shot there for my fingers. I don't know if I have to show you my fingers, but I'm showing them anyway.
Visual.
Yeah, being visual. There you go. It's my signing hands. And it's very difficult to get those fine motor skills without having to kind of be very precise. And as an example, the alphabet, the signed alphabet, is all on the fingers, pretty much. Not all of it, most of it's on the fingers. And so it's trying to kind of coordinate, make sure I'm putting the finger in the right place on the fingertip, or on the palm of the hand, or somewhere down the finger, or kind of curling my finger correctly for the S, or whatever it is. It can be very difficult to, especially I'm trying to sign fast, because you know, when you're talking, you talk fast, and if you're trying to sign fluently, you're trying to sign at the speed you would talk out loud if you could. So if I'm trying to sign at what is a fairly respectable speed, my hands just go, and I have to sort of go, okay, I'm just going to stop, I'm going to slow down, and I'm going to start again. I say that same with verbal.
I have to say, I take my hat off to you, because I can't really begin to imagine doing, you know, sort of trying to, as you say, sort of fingertips and different parts of the finger.
Oh,
that
yeah,
must be really hard to do.
Well, so. I don't mind admitting, I'm on level 2 now. There's 6 levels in total, and I failed. Yeah, there are 3 exams at each level at the moment, and I passed 2 of them, but I failed the second portion of level 2, and I failed it twice now. I'm going to be resitting it again in a few weeks, so I have to kind of do extra practice and extra rehearsal. It's basically I have to give a 5-minute presentation to a video camera, and then it gets sent off and assessed by the examiner. So I'm having to do extra rehearsals to try and make sure my finger movements are very precise, because it is extra effort that I'm having to put in. I'm not saying the others in my class aren't, because they're putting a lot of practicing and a lot of learning in. I'm having to go kind of slightly extra in order to be able to kind of make sure my fingers are coordinated.
Well, that sounds very familiar to me, I have to say, because a few years back, quite a lot of years back, I can't swim, and I decided to take swimming lessons. And I got to the end of the swimming course, and everybody else was swimming like a fish, and I still really wasn't. So I took another swimming course, And I thought, crumbs, we're going to need at least 3 or 4 of these to get anywhere near the kind of standard of the other people who were in it. So I think I could possibly, as a result of that, save myself if I needed to, if there was a short distance that I needed to swim. But it's that case of, right, okay, well, I need a couple of courses to everybody else's one, or 3 or 4 courses to everybody else's one.
I think that's the thing, isn't it? It's that level of, sometimes we just need longer to learn a subject. It doesn't mean we're stupid, not by any means of the imagination,
Absolutely
but
not.
it just means that how our brains are wired, we just need extra time to do the coordination, or to, I don't know, make
and
the widget,
to take
or
it in properly as well.
Yeah.
You said about the short-term memory, because once you get past that place and it's stuck, it's stayed there, then that's okay. But it does take quite a lot of effort and time, I think, to get to that stage.
Yeah, and I made, just going back to school briefly. I won't kind of dwell on this because we've done a previous vlog on school, but it was something I found at school when I was learning a subject, and if I were going faster than I was comfortable with, I would find myself, I could hear myself doing it. I'd get really irritable and really ratty with myself and with other people, not deliberately, but because I was so frustrated that I just need time to learn this. I need to just slow down, think about it in more detail, pause for a minute, reflect on it, and then move on. So yes, I learned at probably a slightly slower rate than a lot of my classmates, but because I needed to absorb the information, if that makes sense. Yeah,
slowing down is absolutely crucial, I think, because you can't do anything comfortably. If you're getting worked up particularly, then you can't sort of do anything quickly and learn properly. You need to slow down, take your time, just do one thing at a time, and then tackle it that way with confidence, because then you build up speed after.
That's where you get the confidence, isn't it? By having the basics, by learning the basics in your own way, you can then go into other stuff. I'm going to go back to you, Barbara, just because we were talking before we started recording about kind of musical instrument stuff, and you were saying about 2 instruments, weren't you?
Yes, well, Ian's original question was about learning musical instruments, and well, I did have a crack at learning to play an acoustic guitar many years ago. I just gave up, basically, because the coordination was my coordination was not good, and to put it mildly, so I just gave up with that.
I admire people that can play the guitar, because friends of mine can, and just the ability to just strum their fingers on these strings. I think, how are you doing that? Anyway,
I know. But one of my favourite musical instruments, and something I would dearly love to be able to play, is the piano. And I especially love the way Jules Holland plays piano, sort of blues type piano. I love it. And I've even envisaged, if I could play the piano, that's how I would like to be able to play. However, I do regard myself as musical because I love music, and I have a musical ear, so I can tell if something is slightly out of tune. I can put harmonies to songs and things very easily. I don't have to really work too hard at it. I wouldn't say I've got a brilliant singing voice, but I can carry a tune in a bucket, so that's okay.
I love that expression.
But the piano learning, if I were to play, I've never tried seriously. I've never had piano lessons because I would like to be able to do it really well. It's not something I would want the sort of half-hearted effort at. So if I could play the piano, I wouldn't want to be okay at it. I'd want to be really good. And I suppose that's one of the things I just haven't tackled for that reason. Because of the dyspraxia, it's the dyspraxia that's holding me back from doing that. If I weren't dyspraxic, then I would probably be a pianist by now, I think. I really believe I would be able to, but it does bother me that I wouldn't have the speed or the dexterity, and so that is something I would like to hold me back. I think the main difficulty with that is as we get older, so it becomes more tiring, particularly, and there is so much involved in. It's not just a case of learning the lessons. You have to get to where you're having your lessons. And I know that we've talked about travel as well, haven't we? But
it's a big thing.
Yeah, I mean, I used to have to plan when I went on a trip or had an evening, an outing of some sort. I used to have to plan it with military precision, so I could spend a couple of days sometimes working on this, just how to get there, what I'll take with me, and all that sort of thing. So,
I don't think you bother. It sounds for me. It sounds like it's not only just actually making sure I can get in one piece. It's the anxiety sometimes that comes with it. Yeah, hugely so.
So I need to feel confident in where I'm going, how I'm getting there, what I'm doing when I get there, and it's like that. Anybody who starts a new job for the first time, where's the kettle, and things like that. You know, the tiny little things. Or if you've got, I don't know, maybe there's a tap in the ladies' toilets, in my case, gents.
Well, yeah, indeed.
If you've got a tap that's a bit funny, you know, it's a bit quirky, and you need to have the knack to work it properly. Things like that can be quite sort of quite overwhelming, I think. You know, if you've got lots of other new things that you're taking on board at the same time.
It does generate a level of anxiety. I do strongly feel it. And I'd say a lot of dyspraxics do. When you're doing something new like that, it's the actual thing itself is stressful enough sometimes and anxious enough without then the having to travel to, or especially as you said, especially if it's an unfamiliar location, it's something we don't know, we've not been before. I don't know if it's someone's house or.
Yeah, you know, all of that is quite.
Actually, funny is, as an example, sorry, Barbara, I didn't mean to butt in. I'm doing a refresher course at the moment for my BSL before I redo my exam in a few weeks. I'm doing it at a new location in near here, the area I live in, and it's at a deaf school. Kind of obviously giving the game away there because there's not many deaf schools left now in the UK. But I go there, and this is the second week I went to the class. So obviously it's still fairly new for me, new people, new surroundings, new location within the school grounds that I have to try and find when my geographical sense isn't that well developed in many ways. So it was all those kind of things, and it's stupid. I went along to this course. I knew I was going to look forward to it because I was learning BSL and I was going to do some learning which I really enjoy. But I was really nervous and I was really tense because I needed to leave work on time to get there. I needed to get there. I needed to find the classroom again because I'd only seen it once before. I needed to remember my classmates' names. I still haven't, to be fair. Most of them are mate now. But I had to then remember the teacher's name, I had to learn the teacher's style of delivery, and the actual learning was quite enjoyable, but I got so kind of wound up beforehand, I got really anxious about an hour prior to the lesson. And to everyone perhaps non-dyspraxic, it might sound like a silly thing, like, why are you worried about that? But it does take on a life of its own sometimes, doesn't it?
Yeah, without a doubt.
And sometimes with age, you can kind of learn how to deal with it and kind of suppress it more, perhaps, and control it. Doesn't mean it's not there, it's still there. It's just you just kind of,
it's a bit like this, feel the fear and do it anyway.
Yeah.
It's that really. But I mean, we've strayed away from the subject.
We have slightly, yes, so we have a little bit, but
that is all part of doing something new, you know, and learning new skills, and particularly learning musical instrument. Well, no, not particularly. Learning new skills.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But in your case, that's what you experience, isn't it?
Yeah, and I suppose in a way I regret the fact that I didn't try to learn the piano, but I think it's because everything else takes so long and takes so much planning, and it does get so tiring that if you want to do something and you want to do it really well, then you really have to make that commitment to it, and I feel that that's something I couldn't really afford to do. So there are lots of other things I can do that I want to do, things I can enjoy that aren't as crucial to me as learning to play the piano would have been. So I suppose doing sort of half a dozen things in an okay way. You know, I mean, it would have taken such a commitment, and I think it just would have been I think soul destroying if I hadn't been good enough. I had the standard I was looking for.
But then you've learned other skills in the interim, haven't you, instead?
Yeah.
You know, you've got other strings to your bow.
I have got others. Not appropriate.
Oh,
strings to my hammer.
Oh. yeah, fair point, yeah. So there you have it, new skills.
Yeah, but particularly because Ian did ask especially about musical instruments.
Yeah.
But the African drumming, I would be very, very interested to hear how that's going. I think to be fair, he was struggling a bit to start with.
Absolutely, but by the time this vlog comes out, hopefully we'll be a bit further along the path. So I'd very much be interested to know, into you, what your thoughts are on that so far, and if it's actually you find it helping.
I mean,
situation.
Sorry to interrupt you.
No, it's not.
But the thought of some two different rhythms, things like that,
it's
just unbelievable. And it's being a great music fanatic myself, and I love Cream, Eric Clapton, Jack Bruce, Ginger Cream. Come on.
I know Eric Clapton, but
Cream was the band that he used to be in.
Oh, okay.
I'm an old hippie myself.
Young hippie, but
aging.
Experienced.
Yeah, that's it. That'll do.
Yeah.
But Ginger Baker was the drummer of Cream, and he used to play 4 different rhythms at the same time. I cannot get my head around that.
That is
It's
amazing.
amazing to listen to, but 4 different rhythms. So I just can't begin to imagine how difficult that would be for one of us.
One of us dyspraxics.
Yeah.
But Ian, do feedback. Do you want to
Yeah,
hear about
please
that?
do.
And on that note, thank you for watching today about new skills and music, etc. If you have an experience of that, do share it with us. Again, below here. Have to be over there slightly. Kind of
Yeah.
there. Just
Ish.
there. Maybe about there. I'll be along a little bit. But thank you for your time today, and we'll speak very soon. Bye.
Bye.